Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to Talk a Lot Tackle. In this episode, we are going to talk about what I did to service my Tranx 400HG. Later on, after I'm done fishing this reel a few times, probably later on this channel, after this season or the next season, I am going to take this reel apart. I am going to service it and show you guys how I service it. I just serviced it myself, so it should be good to go for the next 2 seasons or whatnot if I don't fish it that hard. But the Tranx 400HG, it's going to be a high gear reel. It's going to be the 400 size, so there's going to be the 150, the 200, the 300, and the 400 and 500. And then there's the sizes in between those reels, like the 301, 401, the 150, 151, I believe, and then the 500 and 500 PG or some power gear or whatever. But that's not what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what I did to service this reel. This reel has been an absolute dream to own and fish. It's very compact and lightweight, not too heavy. Great for an 8-foot rod. I would not go any smaller than an 8-foot rod to pair this up. You could put this on a 9-foot rod. It would also work well. 8-foot live bait rod. Great for smaller surface irons, throwing like little tatties, and also some stick baits. Cold snipers for foaming bluefin, kelp patty yellowtail, kelp patty bluefin if you're getting into that, flylined yellowtail, island, bonita, barracuda, bass, swim baits and stuff. So you could use this reel for a lot of stuff. It's a $300 reel, so it's quite an expensive reel, but it's worth the money. You're gonna get a long lifespan out of it. I have this reel spooled up with 30-pound Power Pro white braid. I personally don't like the 30-pound, mainly because I feel like it's not the right poundage of a braid for this reel. I would go for a either 40 or 50-pound braid. Nothing more, nothing less. You could possibly go to a 65, but you're not going to get as much yardage as you would with the 40 or 50. Eventually, I am going to spool this thing up with 50-pound Power Pro Max Quattro, which is going to be their thinnest diameter braid, but also at that same strength class. The Max Quattro is going to be a little bit more prone to chafing and cutting on rocks and whatnot, so you're most likely going to break it off a lot easier on rocks if you're rubbing against rocks and stuff, but it's also going to be the same pound test as the normal Power Pro. On top of that, I do have it spooled the rest of the way with 50 yards of 30-pound mono. I would not go any more than 30-pound mono on this. You could go 25-pound mono. That's what I would recommend if you don't want to go with 30. And then on top of that 30, you could do a 6 to 6.5 foot or even 7-foot leader of fluorocarbon. I would do 20, 25, or 30-pound fluorocarbon. Most likely for me, I am going to fish 20 or 25 just because I already have a 30-pound fluorocarbon leader set up. So just to start talking about what I did to service this reel and the tools that I used this little multi-tool screwdriver. It's got a bunch of bits and heads to it along with this little screwdriver. Came in really handy. I use this thing to service all my reels that I have and I can get a hold of. But other than that, you don't need a bunch of tools to service a reel. Some guys use a good amount of tools just because they use like picks and whatnot. But that's what I use, and that's what works best for me. Next, you're going to want to grab a few paper towels that I have right here. You can't really see them, but I have like 3 or 4 paper towels just to use when I want to wipe things down off the reel, like grease and oils and corrosion and dirt, and also the salt. Next, I have this green microfiber rag. Instead of the paper towels, if I can limit myself from using paper towels, I will use this to wipe down the interior components. I feel like it just works best. It prevents from the parts of the paper towel getting into the reel and breaking down. After that, I use Q-tips. Q-tips are good for cleaning out the inside of bearings, any little holes and stuff like the inside of washers and whatnot. Great for cleaning those out or even getting into those tight nooks and crannies of the reel. After that, I use a painter's brush. I use this to apply my reel grease. This is just some generic brand. I'm not 100% sure what the name of it is, but it's some all-purpose, multi-purpose grease. It's also, as you can see, you could use it on fishing reels. So I use these two together to apply my grease onto my components. I use Shimano lube or oil to lubricate my bearings. That's the only thing I use to lubricate my bearings is this. I don't use it anywhere else on the reel, just for my bearings. Next, I use a little wrench just to get nuts off like this that I can't get off by hand or by screwdriver. I also keep a schematic with me just in case if I need to reference where a certain part of the reel goes and belongs. I have that right in front of me. I also lay things down on a yellow rag, all my parts, so I can have it right in front of me. I can see it, make sure nothing gets tossed off the table, falls off the table, and I lose parts on accident. When I take the reel apart, I like to use a little tackle box. This is the tackle box I like to use. It's got 10 compartments right here, but as you can see, I'm already using this box for parts from a Penn Senator 4.0 that I started to service but haven't finished servicing. So that could be a video in the near coming future, but we'll see. Then it's also got compartments on the other side. I have my 2 hookup baits right there, so I don't use this one, but I could definitely use it. So that's what I'll use. But just a quick rundown of what I did to service this reel. I took this cap off, took off the whole handle assembly, took off the star drag, greased up all the washers and drag system. Also the yoke I greased up. I greased up even the plastic parts of the reel just to prevent it from getting moisture buildup and corrosion and salt crystals in there. I lubricated this level wind, the worm gear right here. I took this side plate off. I'll take it off for you guys right now and show you. I took this whole assembly off right here just by unscrewing these 3 screws and cleaned everything off on the backside. As you can see, it's a little bit shiny, which means I put a little bit of grease on there, just like I said before, to prevent corrosion, moisture buildup, and crystal buildup. I lubricated this bearing right here. I lubricate all my bearings. I don't grease them. I don't like to grease them. I much rather lubricate them. Next, we took out our spool, which I'll do right here. I should have not done that. My bad. Darn it. I just realized I messed up on that part. Shoot. But what I was going to say is I pretty much just, there we go. I took the spool out and cleaned it all off. I cleaned it off and added a little bit more grease. I lubricated this bearing right here. I didn't do anything with this. I just cleaned it off and added a little bit more grease. That's all I did with that. Next, I Cleaned off the inside of the frame. I took off this other part of the side plate, and I greased up and oiled all the interior components. I greased up the drag system, the drags, the yoke, the pinning gear, the shaft for the handle assembly and stuff, the drive gear, I should say. And also I oiled up all the bearings. So I'll go into a more depth video later on after probably the next couple seasons of fishing this reel, once it's time to service it again. But that's just a basic rundown of how I service this reel, what I did to service this reel, and the tools I used to service this reel. So if you guys have any questions, please comment down below. Hit that subscribe button. It will help out a lot. Hit that thumbs up and notification. Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you guys in the next one.